Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. It's Lane here with MetaShackle. Today I wanted to go over a couple of different things in regard to my wallet compartmentalization strategy, which I've talked about previously on this channel. I have been making changes to this strategy, as moving forward, one of the biggest threats that we face is going to be quantum computer technology. But there are a lot of different aspects in terms of cryptocurrency that put us at risk of losing our assets that we've worked so hard to accumulate. Many different attack vectors. And in the world of cryptocurrency, the learning curve is such a steep one that it takes a lot of time, a lot of research, and a lot of patience to really understand what it is that we're dealing with within the cryptocurrency sphere. But one aspect of this that we absolutely can control is the security levels that we implement in regard to our wallets and how we use them. That is going to be our best defense, our best protection. So I'll be going over some of these things, hopefully to educate some of you who may or may not know these things, and perhaps sharing these strategies with you can help you to step up your security to protect yourself against many of these different types of attacks and hacks that we face. So let's not waste any more time and let's get into the video. For additional information and exclusive perks, do consider joining me and the rest of our community on Patreon. Now that we are entering into a whole new world in regard to the quantum financial system, many things that we have known our entire lives are about to completely change. As Yoda once said, we must unlearn what we have learned, because the learning curve is very steep, and at this point, we cannot afford to make any mistakes. Many of these hackers that would attempt to steal your cryptocurrency, the hard-earned fruit of your labor, many of which are rogue attackers, but some which are state-sponsored, having access to computer technology that is well beyond what anyone has within the general public. The rise of quantum computers is threatening to make current cryptography that we have known our entire lives completely obsolete. And we are entering into that era. And even though that some of the smartest tech lords that we have in the world today say that we have a minimum of 10 years, as many of us know, governments are at a minimum of 20 to 30 years more advanced than the general public. So it's more likely that we could be facing these threats heading into as early as next year. So we must move towards protecting ourselves as soon as possible to give us the absolute best chance of survival possible. Now, in regard to many of the threats that we face, I've broken them up into 6 categories. Number 1 being use. Number 2 being storage. Number 3 being network, consensus. Number 4 being legal and regulatory. Number 5 being human error. And number 6 being custodial third-party risk, which I have personally fallen victim to already. Now, the number 1 category, active wallet interaction vulnerabilities. This includes falling victim to QR code scams, connecting wallets to malicious or compromised websites, accidentally signing malicious transactions, malware or spyware intercepting your wallet activity, supply chain attacks, man-in-the-middle attacks on data between your device and the blockchain nodes, especially on untrusted networks, interacting with malicious smart contracts which exploit wallet vulnerabilities, insider threats such as collusion or social engineering by people with access to wallet or signing authority. Number 2 would be storage, seed and private key security, exposing or losing seed phrase or passphrase offline or online, potential brute force or quantum attacks on seed phrases or passphrases, exploitation of spent addresses, public keys, especially future quantum threats, physical theft or damage of hardware wallets or backups, side channel attacks, insecure backups, firmware vulnerabilities or backdoors in hardware wallets leaking keys. Number 3 being network consensus attacks, 51% attacks, majority control of network or hash power, double spends, or on-chain reorganizations that reverse transactions, consensus failures that undermine trust in the blockchain. This is one of the biggest risks, and in my opinion, it is right up there with quantum computers. Number 4, legal and regulatory risks. Device seizure by law enforcement authorities. Forced disclosure of seed phrases, passwords, or private keys under legal pressure or coercion. Regulatory restrictions or compliance issues impacting wallet use. For whatever reason, the governments that currently exist believe that it is their business to know every single thing that you do. For whatever reason, they believe it is their right to monitor your finances and transactions to their discretion. This is absolutely wrong. If you are making legal and lawful transactions, it's none of their business. Number 5, human error. Sending funds to incorrect or scam addresses, losing or forgetting passwords, seed phrases, or passphrases, mismanaging multi-sig wallets or complex setups, using weak passwords or insecure storage methods. Number 6, custodial third-party risk. Exchange insolvency or bankruptcy, like the FTX collapse. Funds being frozen, locked, or seized by the platform, like we recently saw on MEXC, locking tens of thousands of people out of their account unless they complied with KYC. Malicious or negligent behavior by custodians. Loss of user control over private keys, because if they're not your keys, they're not your crypto. Because if they're not your keys, they're not your crypto. Because if they're not your keys, they're not your crypto. Regulatory or legal actions against exchanges which affect user funds. Now, this is all a lot to take in. There's absolutely no doubt about it. It's like trying to run through a minefield with a blindfold on. But by using responsible techniques, being careful about how you do what it is that you do, by compartmentalizing different aspects of how you spend, how you store, and how you protect your cryptocurrency, you can minimize this and limit potential losses in regard to the vast majority of these types of attacks. My old strategy. Now, this was the old strategy that I went over in previous videos on my YouTube channel as well as on my Patreon. Things have changed greatly since I first developed this particular strategy, which was a 3-wallet strategy. I have now made major changes that incorporate other aspects that were not considered using this particular approach, essentially making this obsolete. But in doing so and implementing these changes makes it much safer in regard to the quantum computer threat that we are going to be facing very soon, if not already. My new strategy. My new strategy includes 2 different versions, one of which is a 2-wallet strategy, which would work better overall for people who hold less crypto or are less active with their crypto. I also have a 3-wallet strategy, which is similar to my older strategy, which would work better for people that are holding large amounts of crypto and who are currently active users of it. Because the more you use it, the more protective you need to be. Now, rule number 1, which applies to both the 2-wallet as well as the 3-wallet strategy. The number 1 wallet is a software wallet that is on your phone. It's used for everyday use. It's spending cash. It only holds small amounts of crypto. It uses a single crypto spend address model. It accepts deposits or payments from anyone. The app is protected by a password or a fingerprint. This is important because if somebody hacks into your phone, you don't want them to be able to access your wallet. Phone access is protected by a code, password, pattern, or fingerprint. This makes it harder for them to get into the phone to access any apps that are on the phone, including your crypto wallet. The seed phrase is backed up physically, never digitally. This software wallet only contains crypto you are willing to lose. It can have either a 12-word low security or a 24-word high security seed phrase. It's really up to you because the number one wallet is just a burner. It's a throwaway wallet that's going to basically be used for daily transactions. And if anything ever happens, or if anything ever occurs to this wallet that raises suspicion, you're just going to burn it, download a new one, and start over. Your number two wallet. This is a cold storage wallet that has Bluetooth so that you can connect it to your phone. You never carry this device with the paired phone in public. It must have a 24-word seed phrase for the main wallet account. It must have 2 addresses for each crypto that is on this wallet. One that both sends crypto and receives crypto, and another that only receives crypto. The main wallet acts as a middleman for the software wallet and the passphrase account. It's used to store medium-size amounts of crypto. You must have a passphrase account that has a minimum of 20 characters. So basically, this cold storage wallet will have its main seed phrase account, and it will also have a separate passphrase account that is protected by the passphrase. The passphrase account has multiple addresses dividing crypto funds equally. All crypto that's stored in the passphrase account addresses are receive only. Once a passphrase address sends crypto, that address is permanently burned. The passphrase accounts are used to store large amounts of crypto. The main wallet seed phrase and the passphrase are both backed up in steel with 2 copies. The device is protected with a minimum of an 8-character password or PIN to access the device. Now, in regard to the 2-wallet strategy, this represents your software wallet, which is your burner wallet, being used for everyday purchases. This is the only wallet that you connect to the internet. It's the only one that you use to connect to websites or to make payments in the public. This block here represents your cold storage wallet that has Bluetooth. On your main seed phrase account, you have 2 different wallets. One that you send and receive funds, and one that only receives funds. Then you also have a single passphrase wallet account. This passphrase wallet account is protected by the seed phrase as well as the passphrase. Now, depending on what your particular needs are, if you hold a large amount of crypto, you're going to want to split it up into 3 different wallets, all under that same passphrase. But if you don't hold a large amount of crypto, you could use 2. But no matter how much crypto you do have, I would always suggest splitting it into 2 parts. Now, your software wallet can send crypto to anyone and receive crypto from anyone. Now, if you are sending crypto from your software wallet to your cold storage device, which you plan on spending within a short amount of time, then you will want to send it to this first address, because this one is designed to send or receive. And any time you send crypto from an address, it is exposed to the potential to be hacked by a quantum computer attack. But wallets that have only ever received crypto and never sent it out are not vulnerable to that same type of attack. And I will get into this in more detail here soon. Now, if you want to send crypto that you plan on saving for a little bit of a longer amount of time, you can send it to the receive only, because you won't need to send it. You can also send crypto from either the software wallet or your main seed account wallet to any of these 3 wallets that are in your passphrase account, because every single one of these is receive only. They never send funds anywhere. Not only are they protected by the seed phrase, but they're also protected by the passphrase, which separates them from the main wallet. And only being receive only, they are not vulnerable to quantum computer attacks. If at any point you need to send cryptocurrency from any one of these wallets to any of your other wallets, you want to send the unused portion to a new wallet address or to one of these addresses, then send whatever amount you are planning on spending from this address, which empties the wallet completely. Once you do this and this account is empty, this wallet is burned and you create a new one. Anytime any of these three wallets here and this wallet right here ever sent crypto, you never use that wallet again. You create a new wallet address and burn the old one. So you would only want to send from one. An example of this would be, say you had 100 XRP in this account and you wanted to send 10 XRP to your software wallet to spend. You would send 90 XRP to one of these two wallets that are receive only. You would then send the last remaining 10 XRP to the software wallet. This wallet is now empty, but it has sent and received funds, which means it is now vulnerable to a quantum computer attack. So you would not ever use this wallet again. You would create an entirely brand new address if you needed to, disregard this one, and replace it with one that had only ever received funds. And with this wallet having received 90 XRP from this wallet, it still remains receive only, as these wallets are quantum proof, all four of them. Now you can see that I have it listed class 1 here for the software wallet. That's because this is a burner. It's a throwaway. This send and receive wallet, even though it's protected by a seed phrase in your cold storage, is still a class 1, which is the most likely to be compromised. This class 2 is a little bit better because it's only receive only, but yet it's only protected by the seed phrase. This wallet here would be a class 3, which is a step up because it's protected by the seed phrase, the pass phrase, but at the same time, eventually you will spend from this wallet to push funds into any of these other wallets. These two wallets remain class 4, or the highest security, being protected by a seed phrase, a pass phrase, and only ever receiving funds, never sending them, meaning that they are also quantum proof. These are your absolutely strongest wallets that you have. Not only that, the funds are split between the two of these wallets here, meaning that at any point, if one of them becomes compromised, you will only lose a portion of your funds rather than everything. That's why it's important to have numerous wallets. You're splitting up your funds in case one of these becomes compromised. If at any point in time you had all of your funds in one wallet and it was somehow hacked, you would lose everything. But in this case, you only stand to lose a portion. Diversity is key. So this particular wallet strategy, consisting of two wallets, one a software wallet, which is a burner, and a cold storage wallet that has Bluetooth, compartmentalizing your main seed phrase wallet from your passphrase wallet, essentially giving you 3 different areas to store your crypto, with multiple addresses in each, which diversifies each wallet, protecting them from each other and segregating the funds. Now, the 2-wallet strategy has less wallets, which is less devices to manage. It has less seed phrases and passphrases to secure or manage. There's less risk of human error because of that, but there's also less security. There's less diversity of funds, even though they are very diverse, which requires less responsibility, but it's easier to use. Now, in regard to the 3-wallet strategy, everything I just discussed with the 2-wallet strategy stands true with the 3-wallet strategy, but the only difference here is that you have a software wallet on your phone for everyday use, which functions exactly in the same manner. You have a second cold storage device with Bluetooth, which you can connect to your phone. It works the exact same way. There are 2 separate wallet addresses, one that sends or receives and one that receives only. This wallet is protected by a seed phrase. Then you have a third cold storage wallet, This is your vault, which works in the same way that it did in the two-wallet strategy, with the only exception being, instead of this being your main seed wallet and this being a passphrase wallet, they are actually separate wallets, which means that the hackers would have to hack 2 separate seed phrases for each wallet, rather than just one. And on your vault, the main difference here is that this is not only protected with its own seed phrase, but every single wallet address that is on this particular device is protected by its own individual passphrase. So this wallet here, to access this wallet right here, you would need one passphrase. To access this one, you would need another passphrase. To access this one, you would need another passphrase. So all 3 of these wallets have different passphrases. This wallet being completely separate, using a seed phrase only, and your software wallet, which is a burner, thus being a class 1, because you're willing to lose everything on this wallet. The middleman wallet carries medium amounts of cryptos. You certainly don't want to lose it, but if you did, it wouldn't break the bank. The vault is what truly matters. And by diversifying the vault in this manner, it means that not only would they have to crack your seed phrase, but they would have to also crack each individual passphrase before they could enter any of these individual wallets, which gives you separation from all 3 wallets from each other, as well as within the vault wallet, because you would have to have a passphrase to access each one. The same rule applies. All of these wallets are receive only, and as soon as they send any funds out, that wallet address is burned and never to be used again. All of these are to only have ever received crypto. Now, the 3-wallet strategy has more wallets, more devices to manage. There's more seed phrases and passphrases to secure and manage. There's increased risk of human error, but there's more security. There's more diversity of funds. It takes more responsibility, and it's harder to use. So really, which strategy you use depends on what works best for you. Because this is not only about protecting your funds from being hacked by quantum computers potentially taking your seed phrases, your passphrases in a brute force attack, or protecting your hashes between the spent and unspent addresses, but we also need to think about protecting ourselves from the possibility of human error. We use the software wallet to protect us from any type of online threat, because if that wallet is hacked, compromised, if there is any malware involved, the hackers can only get the small amount of crypto on that software wallet. We separate our funds on our cold storage devices so that if they are hacked or compromised in any way, our funds are diversified. They are protected from quantum computer attacks, but we can still reasonably use them in the real world, while still protecting ourselves from any type of a threat. Now, as I've been talking about, the difference between an unspent and a spent address is massive in regard to quantum computers. Any address that can be seen on the public ledger only has a public key visible. There are 2 keys. You have a public key that's out in the public and a private key which remains private on your device. So with unspent addresses, only the address, the hash of your public key is visible on the chain. Your public key remains hidden. So an attacker, even with a quantum computer, has no mathematical target to attack with an unspent address. In regard to spent addresses, as soon as you send your crypto from that address, your public key is revealed on-chain to verify the transaction signature from your cold storage device. The address's public key is now exposed because a quantum computer could, in theory, use the public key to derive the private key from it. Now, this would take a staggering amount of computational power, but this is why it matters. Quantum computers can use Shor's algorithm to break elliptical curve cryptography used by Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, etc., if they have the public key. Once the public key is known, it could theoretically be reversed to find the private key. So the real vulnerability window opens only after a transaction is made. Until then, the address is protected by 2 layers of hashing, the SHA-256 and RIP-EMD-160. These two combined create a 160-bit hash, which is extremely hard to reverse, even for a quantum computer, because Grover's algorithm, the only relevant quantum attack for hashes, only offers a square root speedup. That still means 2 to the 80th power operations, which is still inconceivably massive. So how much safer is an unspent address compared to a spent address? If we look at the unspent address, the effective quantum strength is 2 to the 80th power operations. The risk is virtually 0. Now, if the address is spent, this means that your public key is visible. It's been exposed. Shor's algorithm could technically crack this if they had the computational power necessary, which would require a quantum computer. This requires between 2 to the 30th power and 2 to the 40th power operations, which carries a high future risk that at some point in the future this is going to be possible, and I personally believe it will be in the next year or two. So an unspent address is roughly 10 to the 40th times safer in theoretical terms. That's a trillion times stronger protection. So visualize this. If breaking into a spent address were like cracking into a bank vault, then breaking into an unspent address is like trying to guess which grain of sand on Earth contains the vault. So unspent basically means safe even in a post-quantum world, at least for now. Spent means it could be compromised someday after our quantum computers reach the point where they can handle large-scale elliptic curve computations, which experts estimate is still decades away, and I don't believe that. I think it's years away. And perhaps with military is even already possible, and I'm personally not taking that chance. So keep in mind that anyone can send crypto to your passphrase protected address anytime without affecting its security. Here's why. When you receive the funds, only the address, a hashed version of your public key, is visible on the blockchain, not the public key itself. Since the public key remains hidden until you spend from that address, the funds remain quantum safe. So receiving coins does not expose the private key or the public key, so it does not reduce the security or increase vulnerability. So basically, you can receive funds from anyone in your unspent accounts, and it is not going to compromise those particular wallets by exposing them to quantum computer vulnerabilities. But with my particular wallet compartmentalization strategy, the only person who should ever be interacting with your passphrase accounts or within your vault should be you. You want to keep those addresses as quiet as possible. And I asked ChatGPT, I said, so is it harder for a quantum computer to crack an unspent address that was derived from a 24-word seed with a passphrase than just the 24-word seed phrase alone? The short answer, yes. An unspent address derived from a 24-word seed with a strong passphrase is harder to compromise overall than the 24-word seed alone, because you've added extra entropy via the passphrase, and the public key is still hidden since the address is unspent. So you're stacking two completely different security layers, one mathematical entropy and two structural public key not being exposed. Now here's why. Entropy layer, seed plus passphrase. A 24-word seed encodes up to 256 bits of entropy. A passphrase adds additional entropy, potentially hundreds of bits more if it's long and random. A quantum computer attacking the seed plus the passphrase combo would face roughly 2 to the 150th power operations using Grover's algorithm, which is beyond astronomical. If you didn't use a passphrase, it's still extremely secure, but you're removing a huge layer of difficulty from any brute force attempt. So the result, the seed plus the passphrase pair, is vastly more secure than the seed alone. This counts both in regard to protecting your seed phrase and by protecting yourself from quantum computer attacks. So by looking at this from a couple of different perspectives on how much security this provides you, if you are only using a 24-word seed phrase, your security level is very high. If you're using a 24-word seed phrase and a passphrase, it's extremely high. If you're holding your crypto in an unspent address, it's also extremely high because these layers don't overlap, they stack, meaning you've made both the seed recovery and the on-chain attack paths both astronomically infeasible. And by using wallet addresses that are derived from seed phrases that are passphrase protected, they become even stronger. The comparison, 24-word seed alone, very hard. An unspent address with no passphrase, slightly harder at 2 to the 80th power, but the public key's still hidden. Now in regard to an unspent address that is derived from a seed plus a passphrase, it's the hardest of all. Dual protection, entropy plus hidden key. So the bottom line, an unspent address derived from a 24-word seed plus a strong passphrase is harder to compromise than either the seed alone or a simple unspent address. You're combining the best of both worlds, high entropy and hidden exposure, which makes it, for all practical purposes, quantum attack proof for the foreseeable future. But regardless if that's the case, which is debatable, this is something that you're going to want to implement immediately, because the best protection for your crypto, period, is to have a 24-word seed phrase protected with a passphrase account, deriving your addresses where you store your largest amounts of crypto from the addresses on the passphrase account. This protects your wallet from being hacked by someone gaining access to the seed phrase and the passphrase through brute force. It not only does that, but it also protects the wallets contained within the passphrase account with additional entropy. So if someone is attempting to hack your wallet on-chain, you've just made it harder by using addresses that have a passphrase rather than just the 24-word seed phrase alone. So when you are storing your crypto on your hardware wallet that is protected with a passphrase, make sure it's sitting in wallet addresses that were created from passphrase accounts that remain unspent. If you even send 1 XRP out of that address, you must burn it and never use it again. Because you need to keep in mind that every single individual address that you have ever spent crypto from can potentially be cracked by a quantum computer. So your biggest holdings, your largest amount of crypto, should always be stored, locked behind a 24-word seed phrase, protected by a passphrase that is a minimum of 20 characters, sitting on an address in that passphrase account in an unspent wallet, preferably split into halves or thirds, so that even if one of them gets hacked, they still cannot get all your crypto, which means they have to get through the seed phrase, they have to find your passphrase, then they have to crack each individual wallet address. In the case of the 3-wallet strategy, they would have to crack multiple devices, multiple passphrases. So depending on whether or not you use the 2-wallet strategy or the 3-wallet strategy, what you are doing is making it the absolute hardest for hackers to exploit and steal your crypto, because these thieves are always going to go for the easiest route. And if you make this virtually impossible for them, they're going to go after easy targets. And the last thing I would ever want to see is anyone lose their crypto. So please do your due diligence. Take the time to set these accounts up and get everything laid out according to your needs to protect yourself from the quantum computer threat that is literally standing right before us. And if you would like to trade leverage responsibly, or perhaps even spot, or even if you're just looking to save some coin by swapping your cryptos for 0 fees, check out Bitunix. Bitunix is the only place that I trade, and it is where I swap all of my cryptos. So check it out. You'll be glad that you did. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Good luck, and remember, the best is yet to come.